70% of voters across Florida may have approved medical marijuana last fall. The legislature adopted rules and Governor Rick Scott signed them into law last month. But while medical marijuana is now available, you're not going to be able to buy it, at least for now, in Sarasota. And Kate Flexter is here to tell us why. Kate.
Thanks, Alan. Law enforcement agencies and local governments now have guidelines to follow, but they're still figuring out what this law will look like within their own communities. For Richard Watt, a seizure can strike at any time.
One seizure could be your last seizure. You never knew.
It's a condition he's suffered from for 8 years, relying on as many as 30 to 40 prescription pills each day. And after using medical cannabis for 2 months, he's seizure-free. But Watt is the first to admit even he was skeptical at first.
I thought people just wanted to get high. And to me, that's not what it is. To me, it's getting normal.
He's one of more than 18,000 patients in Florida now allowed to legally purchase and consume cannabis, following a November vote to legalize medical marijuana in the state, a measure passed by 71% of voters. For months, state legislators debated how to implement the law, leaving local governments and law enforcement agencies in limbo. After much debate and a special session, lawmakers came to an agreement. For patients, there are a few major sticking points. For one, the law bans smoking of the drug. Plus, since marijuana is still considered an illegal substance on the federal level, cardholders can be fired for a failed drug test.
It's okay for somebody with Oxycontin or Xanax to go to work on their lunch break and go pop a couple pills, but if I was to come home and self-medicate that night and go to work and have a surprise drug test the next morning, I would lose my job.
The law also says local governments have to treat dispensaries just as they would treat the average drugstore. It's a prospect that worries law enforcement.
You can't control their hours, whether they have a drive-through, their distance, or anything like that.
At the Sarasota Police Department, Captain Corinne Stanish says that could pose a major risk to public safety. That's why she encouraged city commissioners to pass a temporary ban on dispensaries, which they did last week. Stanish clarifies the goal is not to restrict access to medical marijuana. She points to the option for delivery and the Bradenton dispensary to open in August.
What we want to do is have a more conservative approach, sit back and try to prevent some of the public safety issues that we know could come with it, but not at the expense of the citizens.
She's also advocating for officers to have access to the compassionate use registry so they can differentiate between who's legally possessing the drug and who's not.
If an officer stops somebody on a traffic stop, we want the ability to be able to verify that they are in legal possession of their medical marijuana.
It's all part of the learning curve for this new law. But Watt worries this time of ambiguity might deter someone from considering medical marijuana.
It's such a gray area right now for everybody, and I think that's what's stopping a lot of people from getting the help that they actually need.
He points to himself as an example of what it can do.
I'm back to Rick again. I'm back to being the husband I was, the uncle I was, the son I was, and I'm back. And I've been gone a long time, and it feels good to be back.
This piece of legislation will also allow 10 more medical marijuana dispensaries to open by October 3rd.
Kate, thank you.